Hey guys, my name is Ryan and welcome to Overwatch Central. Today we're going to be talking about some proposed changes to Brigitte, a nerf in fact that may make it onto the next PTR update. We'll talk about all of the other changes that went in with that, some weird stuff going on with Winston since the patch went onto live last night, and some well-known Mercy players are actually saying that the recent changes are quite good. So we're going to go over all of that and more in today's video. We'll start with the main reason why you're here, the Brigitte changes. What are they? Do I need to be worried as a Brigitte player? Well, no, not really, but I do want to quickly go over what they are and then talk about the huge implications that they have. Jeff Goodman on the forums recently said, we do have one shield bash change we are playtesting right now, which is likely to hit the next PTR update. Shield bash no longer going through barriers. This means it's a lot more tricky to land a clutch stun on an enemy Reinhardt, for example, but you still can use the ability to close that distance and land melee hits to trigger Inspire, which is Brigitte's passive. This is something that I'm very keen to test in pretty extensive detail because there's a lot of stuff to do with shields, right? The obvious encounter and interaction I can think of is going up against a Reinhardt shield. You saw from the World Cup how a big change like this could affect how the game is played. The whole basis of Team UK seemed to fall down onto Kib and Fusions that were played Brigitte and Rein respectfully. Up against another Reinhardt, the Brigitte would stun the enemy Reinhardt and then Fusions would follow through with an Earth Shatter, which couldn't be blocked unless you had a well-timed Zarya shield, which is very hard to pull off. This just makes this whole interaction much more difficult to do. If an enemy Reinhardt has his shield up, you can't stun him out of it, which is a really big change, I find. Not only that, you have Brigitte versus Brigitte being a little bit less awful because you're just stunning one another, but it also does mean that heroes like Orisa and Winston have a bit more relevancy and a bit more strength going up against Brigitte if they can well time their shields. It's more of a Brigitte not getting what she wants anymore, but what I do find interesting, what people have been saying, is if this change is really good, it could also be applied to Doomfist as well with his stuns. And I think that's a really good change overall. I mean, think about it. McCree's flashbang gets blocked by a barrier, Roadhog's hook, Earth Shatter, Sombra hack, May freeze, all of those get blocked by barriers, so it does make sense that this CC in itself would do too. The only two now that don't block it, I believe, will be like a Reinhardt charging or Doomfist hitting. But as a Reinhardt charging, you are opening yourself to the elements, and you're making yourself very vulnerable to be taken out, so kind of makes sense that there's a bit of a drawback there. But for Doomfist and Brigitte, they were able to stun without being under much vulnerability. So I really like this change, and just as a reminder, this will be going onto the PTR with a few other changes sometime soon, maybe tonight, maybe next week, we're not quite sure, with potentially these other changes to Doomfist, Bastion and McCree. For Doomfist, it's all nerfs. The seismic slam range has been reduced from 20 to 15 meters, and the enemies affected by the rising uppercut ability only lose air control of their character for 0.6 seconds, which is a lot shorter than it used to be. Bastion gets a buff with his recon size clip increasing from 25 to 35, and also this change potentially could go in. The Sentry minigun gets a reverse spread effect. The longer you shoot, the more precise those shots will be, but they're just testing that at the moment. And McCree, the Thunder Hammer damage has been increased by 10 damage per shot. So you have both Doomfist and Brigitte nerfs going onto the same patch. I'm sure the community are going to absolutely adore that. But I really do like these Brigitte changes. It does make sense, and I think it just makes people's lives easier, like for Reinhardt, main tanks as a whole. And if this change is really good on Brigitte, that it really does nerf that interaction, but she's still pretty good, they can also apply that to Doomfist, I think. And it would just make Reinhardt's life so much easier. In case you missed it yesterday, the live patch was updated with Ashe and a few other hero balance changes. Ashe was only on the PTR for about a week, which is quite surprising, but she does feel fairly balanced and fairly involved with a lot of the characters, right, that she can sort of fit in and do pretty well. I do want to talk at length how good Ashe actually is, but I just need a bit more time playing her, so do sort of wait for that video there. There were some hero balance changes that came to stuff like Roadhog, Reaper and Mercy, but the Mercy changes were a bit overlooked and people said that they weren't great. As a reminder, the ultimate cost has been reduced by 15%, and her healing per second has been increased from 50 to 60 whilst ulting. Most people on the face of it said that these changes weren't very good, but actually both EVA and Animatic had stuff to say on the subject. EVA started off by saying, this version of Mercy feels great, but not only because of the buff, rather because of all of the other supports feeling better to play alongside since they were buffed when she last got nerfed. Can't really tell if that's a bit of shade coming from her, but we'll have to see on that. But speaking of which, Animatic says, Mercy is good now, not OP, just good. If you have a Mercy main on your team, stop telling her to swap to Ana. Mercy feels so nice to play now. Ult is up just exactly the moment you need it. Now, one of the reasons why these Mercy changes came around in the first place is because of that ultimate. She was a hero that was completely reliant on that ultimate, and then sort of switched over to having Valkyrie, which wasn't really that impressive or exciting, because it wasn't really too much of a difference. You could chain heal people, sure, but once the nerfs started to come in with how strong it was in regards to resurrecting people, she wasn't played half as much as she was before. So this is a nice change to often give Mercy an elevation on her abilities. Not only with how many people she can heal, but how much she can heal per second. It can be used more as a support ability like Zenyatta's Transcendence or Lucia's Sound Barrier, not by much. A lot of them are saying that she's good now, she's not great. I think she could do with more, but this is very much a baby steps kind of thing. I think Blizzard really need to focus on bringing Brigitte down a little bit, to the point where Gamescom can't be run as much, and also Doomfist down a bit. I think both of these heroes are very impressive right now. Mercy in a much better spot, good to see. And also Winston got a bit of a weird change, a bit of a sort of accidental one I'd assume, but sort of take a look at this. This was a tweet that came out of Blue X, showing off the new Winston effects with his lightning. The shield on the right hand side was put down by Blue X's teammate, so it should be blue, but because the enemy Winston is shooting at it, it goes red, so it's very confusing, very hard to follow. I haven't played on the live servers since these changes went in, because it was like, what, 12 hours ago from the time of recording this video, but you can sort of see the weird effects that have happening with Winston's lightning, and I've seen people like Jaws, who's a Contenders caster, mention how much of a light show it is and how crazy it looks, and it shouldn't really look like that, but maybe this was an accidental change or one of those quality of life stuff that Blizzard failed to mention. Hard to say. But that is everything that I wanted to go over in this video. Proposed Brigitte changes that will be hitting the PTR fairly soon with Doomfist, nerfs, Bastion and McCree buffs. Mercy is actually quite good now if you want to play her a little bit more, at least according to two of the biggest named Mercy players I'd say, that aren't pros of course, and Winston has some weird bugs. Thanks for watching guys. Have fun playing Ash on the live servers, especially you console guys, I know you've been waiting for a while. Thanks for watching, take care, we'll see you then.